about 3 weeks ago, we had decided, and when I say we, I mean my wife and I, and her mother, my mother-in-law, decided to go to a museum called the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors. You can look it up. It's very interesting, very psychedelic, wacky stuff, but pretty cool, right? And it was about a week before the due date of our son. So we decided to go to this museum, the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors, to look at these psychedelic paintings. Essentially, this artist named Alex Gray and his wife, I believe what they do is they take LSD and then they paint together. I think that's their process, something like that. And you've probably seen some of the art online. They're actually pretty well known, pretty famous. So the second floor of this large building, there's this huge building full of art pieces, kind of themed. The second floor is completely dedicated to the process of reproduction from beginning to end. And it's got a very spiritual energy about it, very psychedelic, a lot of colors and very full of symbols, right? Symbolic, very interesting. And so we got to the second floor and we're looking around this room and thought it was just really interesting that here we were getting close to the end of one process, pregnancy, and the beginning of another, right? Having a child. And we're in this room dedicated essentially to this, different areas of this. Then the moment that we left that room to go up to the second floor, we went up to the second floor. As soon as we left that room, then her water broke. Mushroom's water broke. Mushroom is my wife, if you don't know. So that's essentially when it's time to go to the hospital, right? So we left and we went to the hospital. And we were there for, I think, about 30 hours. But it had this whole time, this feeling of it being very odd timing that we were in this room feeling these feelings of, wow, this is, something very ancient we're doing. Because it is. You create a life. This is this thing that has been the case for every single person who has ever lived, right? It's the most ancient spiritual thing you can do in some sense, right? You're participating in the species in a way. And every person who is alive has been through it, as a baby at least, and then potentially goes through it as an adult, creating new life. And so the timing was very interesting. But it gave the whole experience then of going to the hospital, of getting set up at the hospital and doing all the paperwork, it gave it this feeling of importance and profundity, which it gave it a sort of veneer of shimmering, golden, transcendent whatever. And I don't know what it would have been like otherwise, but I'm certainly glad that that's how it happened, because everything then seemed to just flow. Because of that, we felt relaxed, like, oh, it's supposed to happen now. I don't know if that's what that means, but it felt like that. And so because of that, we were both very relaxed, in a good mental space, no stress. Everything was perfect. We were prepared. We had everything we needed. Everything was in place. Perfect. And then we went to this place and it happened. And then we went to the hospital and everything was fairly smooth after that. Now I'm going to show a couple of pictures, so those who may be listening or watching, you can watch if you're listening. I guess is what I mean. This is the artist Alex Gray. This is one of the main paintings that you see online, sort of these fractal structures that are representative of some sort of psychedelic state. And then this is one of the paintings from the, I don't know if the room is called the fertility room, but it may as well be this sort of radiant baby standing between the mother and father, each with a halo around their head. Right, and his third eye is sort of activated, and there are sort of a halo of peacock eyeballs surrounding his head, as though he's some sort of divine being bringing down wisdom from the netherworld or whatever. And yeah, there's something about that. So then we got to the hospital, and this is Mushroom in the hospital. Doesn't look like she's struggling with labor. I think this was about 8 hours into it, and she was actually doing pretty well. Not bad, actually. She handled it really well. Of course, there's discomfort, there's pain, right? But she handled it very well. And then this is after the baby was born. Right after the baby's born, they do what's called skin to skin. And skin to skin is exactly what it sounds like. You want the baby to be on your skin directly because that helps with bonding. It helps calm them. There's some sort of interaction that happens when you do the skin to skin contact. I don't fully understand it, but apparently there's some sort of interaction that goes on. So this is a picture of him then after we went into the nursery. So we were in the delivery room for about 30 hours. And then you go to the area, the postpartum area, I guess it's the nursery or whatever it's called. Recovery room, maybe their recovery room. And so we were learning, they teach you how to, at the hospital, this is in a hospital. They teach you how to swaddle the baby. They teach you how to feed the baby. They teach you how to change the baby's diapers. You get a lot of information. People are always just barging right into the room and telling you all kinds of stuff that's happening or that should happen or that you should do. After we get home, that's me and Pi. His name is Pi. P-Y, Pi. Short for Pymander. And then another picture of Pi after his first bath. He was not crying here, but during the bath itself, I think he was crying. And then this is a family picture that was taken a couple days ago. So finally, it's feeling settled. It's feeling very real. It's feeling very ordinary. Honestly, it feels like, okay, this is just what it is now. And yes, it's slightly tiring. You have to get up at 2 in the morning and change diapers and stuff. But that's all part of it. I'm enjoying it so far. I think it's very interesting. I feel like the same person that I was before, but the process, I think, is an ongoing sort of unfolding thing, which has been really meaningful, really interesting. And so that is why I took was it a 2 or a 3 week break on the podcast episodes. So I appreciate your patience on that. I'm back now, so I'll be once again doing these every week on Fridays. So I hope you can join either live or not. That's fine too. And it is what it is. That's it. That's what happened. That's what's going on. Still, I mean, if you hear any crying downstairs, it's because he's probably hungry and he wants to eat. So it's really interesting. It's really great. Although, that said, certainly easier for a father than a mother. You know, fathers, you're going through things and doing things that might be tiring, but it's nothing compared to what mothers have to do during pregnancy and after giving birth. It's nothing compared to that. And then everyone's focused on the baby. Oh, the baby is so cute. Is the baby eating enough? What about the baby? So as a mother, you would be very reasonable to feel, okay, what? I just went through all of this and now everyone is focused on the baby? What's this? What about me, right? That's, I think, an important lesson. And a couple of takeaways for me. Number one, much appreciation for mothers and what they go through for their children. Just on a biological, physical level, putting everything else aside, that's tough, right? So that's one thing. That is an amazing thing. 2, the maternal instinct is also very interesting to see. You see, the baby cries, and then a thing happens in the mother, in their brain, that is the most important thing going on in the world when they cry. And there's a lot more than that, but just the mother's instinct. And I guess people call that mother's love. I guess that's what that is. I don't know why I tend to want to call it instinct, because, you know, the bear is the same. It's the same. It's the instinct to take care of your children, right? And then the other takeaway might be routine seems to be very important for babies. Routines. I don't particularly like routines, but I'm seeing very clearly that for babies, getting into a routine and having a routine seems to be very important, because if things are not happening when they're supposed to happen, then they get kind of lost and their cycles get off. So babies, I think, benefit from having a regular schedule. That's at least so far been my takeaway. And also, you get all kinds of advice from all kinds of people. Oh, you should do this, you should try this, do that. Why not do this? Maybe listen to all, at least my takeaway so far, listen to everybody and say, okay, good advice, thank you. But then be ready to completely ignore that advice if it doesn't seem to apply to your situation. Because I think every baby is unique and different, and there are some common things that may or may not work, but you don't want to emphasize too much other people's experience over your own.